Adrian.
Yes, Kim.
Let's do supplement talk.
Cool. All right, get a graphic and go like that. Cool. All right, that was awesome. Good job.
So
supplement talk.
Yeah, I just thought because there's been some interesting developments that I've heard and we've experienced ourselves. So we thought we'd just sort of touch on a couple of things. Thanks for asking. I'll go first.
Cool. Thanks. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about creatine. Now I know we've actually done a couple of videos. But this is just a little bit more of an update because I listened to a podcast yesterday, the ATP podcast with a Dr. Richard Kreider, who is the president and founder of the ISSN, which is the International Society of Sports Nutrition.
They currently have the convention going on in Las Vegas at the moment.
Yes. Yep. And Matt Legg interviewed him yesterday on a podcast, which I suggest you all listen to. And they spoke a lot about creatine.
Yes.
Now, I know we've spoken a lot about it, but it's just, there is so much more stuff coming out about creatine. I thought we'd touch on it again. And it is one of these things that everyone should be using.
Definitely. They've even started using it in medical trials.
Yeah,
which
exactly
is
right, which I'll cover. So I'll just quickly go over through some of the things about creatine. Just one is that it is the most researched supplement out there.
Yes.
Creatine has been researched. Actually, the first study in creatine was in 1908.
Yep.
That is a publicized study. And it was farmers used creatine. They gave creatine to their cows and noticed that they put on muscular weight.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, which was really, really interesting. And that sort of started it all about creatine and weight gain. Now, you can get 3 grams of creatine if you eat 2 kilos of meat a day.
Yeah, which for me personally would be easy. I'm a red meat eater. Love 2 kilos would be simple.
Yeah, 2 kilos actually isn't a lot. If you're having 2 big steaks a day, you're going to get 2 kilos.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's going to give you 3 grams of creatine. The other things that we have really covered is that if you are a vegan or vegetarian, creatine really is a must.
Yes.
Because it comes from red meat. So if you're not eating a lot of red meat, you're going to be deficient in creatine. Now, basically, how creatine works in a nutshell is if you work on a tank of fuel, you've got a 3/4 tank of fuel, you increase your creatine by either taking it in a loading phase, which I'll talk about in a minute. And what happens is that you will then fill that tank up the rest of the way. What that means is you've got more fuel to work with, which is basically what happens in your body. Your muscles will have more fuel to work with. People have asked, should we load on creatine? And we've sort of said you don't have to.
You don't have to, no.
No. Basically 5 to 10 grams a day will saturate your muscles, but that can take up to 8 weeks. For fast and really immediate results, it is suggested that you load on 4 to 5 grams a day for 5 days. So 20 grams a day, 4 to 5 grams 4 times a day.
There we
That's
go.
it. For 5 days. That will saturate or fill that muscle up a lot quicker. And after that, a maintenance dose of, if you're under 100 kilos, 5 grams will do it. Over 100 kilos, 10 grams.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that's been shown out that we all know that creatine is good for explosive sports and power sports, hence like weight training, sprinting, everything where you're putting 100% output into the shortest possible amount of time. So your body uses a chemical called ATP, which is manufactured from the stored creatine in your muscle cells.
Then it's a triphosphate.
Exactly right. So the more ATP your body has got to call on, that muscle will work for longer. Hence, you lift more weight, you'll have more power, you'll be able to get 2 more steps in a full-blown sprint, everything, which can make a massive difference in competition.
Yeah, like 500 grams is the difference between a world record and a first place.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, some of the latest thing, people have said, if you're an endurance athlete, you don't need to use creatine. But Adrian, you don't. Because, again, now the latest research is showing that endurance athletes get a vast benefit from creatine. And one of the main ones is that it will help hold on to muscle mass. We all know that marathon runners, etc., endurance athletes are slightly built because they struggle to hold on to muscle mass because of the vast volume that they're doing. So creatine will help you hold on to that muscle mass. Now the other thing that's been shown is that it helps with carbohydrate loading.
Yeah, yes it does.
And this is interesting with you now getting ready for a bodybuilding competition.
Yes. Yeah.
So it has been shown that taking creatine and increasing carbohydrates / glycogen fills up those muscle fibers a lot faster.
Yeah, it's been known to push it into a what's the word I'm thinking of? It's a hypersaturation.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly right. So for a bodybuilder, especially in that carbohydrate loading phase, creatine and carbohydrates are a good thing.
Yep.
For an endurance athlete, after your race, you will recover faster because you're increasing glycogen loading. But even doing it before a race, like we hear about endurance athletes load on spaghetti and pasta and everything for 3 or 4 days. Well, taking creatine with that will cause that hypersaturation, which means that you'll have more energy when you start your race.
Yeah, more glycogen in the cell.
Exactly right.
It's sort of like adding another little expansion tank onto your already full fuel tank.
The other thing has been shown that it reduces damage in the muscle, which is muscle recovery and muscle repair. In conjunction, it's been shown that taking creatine with your carbohydrates and protein after training dramatically reduces muscle damage.
Yeah, it increases muscle protein synthesis twofold.
Exactly.
It's very powerful. Muscle protein synthesis.
There you go.
What did I say?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So there are a few things that are starting to come out which are of vast benefit for athletes. So it makes sense that if you are in any sport, you should be using creatine.
In any single sport, in any style of training, any type of recovery, any type of diet phase, creatine should be a staple.
Exactly.
Just like I don't want to say, but just like glutamine is a non-essential amino acid, but it's conditionally essential.
That's right.
Creatine should be in that same realm, conditionally essential.
Exactly right. Now, what it's been shown that it works fast, and they're still doing studies on creatine, and it's been shown that in 2 weeks there can be a dramatic increase in muscle mass on a person who isn't using creatine. So they've done studies with athletes. Divided them into 2 groups. One takes a placebo and one just adds creatine. They both train exactly the same, and the creatine group within 2 weeks have had a noticeable weight gain, and then a muscle gain. Now, I know there's a lot of you straight away saying, oh yeah, but that weight gain is water gain. Yes, it is, but it's still in conjunction. If a 2 kilo, if you're working on the 3/4 tank of fuel scenario, a 2 kilo gain, the gain in water is respective to the how much in the tank. So it's not a full blown. So say work 75% of that 2 kilos, only 25% is going to be a water gain.
Yeah, and it's not.
And it's been shown that actually the studies are there that muscle biopsies have shown that there is an increase in the girth of the muscle fiber, and that's muscle growth.
Yeah,
it's not water. So it's muscle growth.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's coming out, and we have spoken about this before, but there's more and more studies have come out, is the benefit to fighters.
Yes, this is very interesting. This is
and to any contact sport athlete who is at the risk of brain trauma or concussion.
Or even spinal injury.
Yeah, spinal injury, exactly right. So it's been shown that creatine decreases or increases the recovery from brain trauma and from concussion, and can even prevent minor concussions.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
So, very, very interesting. And again, faster recovery after the event. Now, fighters, you might think, all right, but I need to go into a weight class.
Yeah.
Is the increase in weight, especially the water weight, going to hamper my getting down to a weight class? Now, it can, obviously, if you're really, really close. But what's been suggested is that you take your creatine, load on your creatine at the start of your preparation to your fight, and then as you about 4 to 6 weeks before the fight, taper off your creatine, and your muscle storage levels are going to return to their base levels.
Yeah, I think in this study they said it takes about 8 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks has been shown that your creatine levels will go back to their base levels. So if you do that about 6 weeks out from your fight, reduce your creatine intake. And then straight after the weigh-in, especially if the weigh-in is like 48, 24 hours, load on creatine with your glycogen and your carbohydrates for muscle saturation before the fight.
Got to be bigger, stronger.
Exactly right.
Make your weight.
Yep. So that's it. So in a nutshell, 20 grams a day for 5 days, and then 5 to 10 grams a day. Under 100 kilos, 5 grams a day.
Yep.
Over 100 kilos, 10 grams a day. When do I take it? Well, I mean, really, the studies have shown that it doesn't really matter, but take it with your post-workout.
Yeah, post-workout is the most effective.
Exactly right.
With a carb and a protein source.
Yep. So, now, the other things it's been shown, that's just the health benefits that are coming out.
Yep.
So I'll just quickly go through these. So that it helps hold muscle in the elderly. It's been shown to buffer dementia, better brain function, spinal cord injury recovery, like you mentioned. This was interesting. Pregnancy. Pregnant women in their 3rd trimester should take about 3 grams of creatine a day. Because the fetus is depleting creatine stores.
Yeah.
And is one of the reasons of the massive fatigue that expectant mothers get.
That's really interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So that's one of the latest studies. What about all the other different types of creatines? Well, 95% of all studies have been with creatine monohydrate.
Yep.
And studies with the other forms, the 5% of studies that are on the other forms, show the same benefits.
Exactly.
So there's no advantage with the other forms of creatine. No. They can be more expensive.
Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, it gives me gut problems. That's probably the reason why you probably change to a different type of creatine.
Well,
but that's really it.
Well, that's what I was going to say here. But it causes bloating. No, it doesn't. It doesn't cause bloating. No. But what about water retention? Yes, in the muscles.
Which is what you want.
That's what you want. You want it in the muscle. There's even been people saying that it causes balding. No evidence showing it causes balding. Dehydration. No, it does the opposite. It rehydrates and can hypersaturate your muscles. But a wrestler died from dehydration and he was using creatine. Yes, he did, but he just died from dehydration.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. He died from training in a hot environment, not taking in enough fluids, and severe dehydration. They just happened to find a container of creatine in his supplement.
That's it there. That killed him.
Exactly right. Yeah. What killed him was dehydration. Creatine had nothing to do with it. That's about it.
Yeah.
So taking it and stop using it will take 4 to 6 weeks to return to base levels. Carbohydrates. Do you have to use carbohydrates? No, you don't. But it has been shown that taking creatine in conjunction with carbohydrates does help in the absorption.
And that's due to the insulin release.
That's right.
Insulin helps drive nutrients into
exactly
the
right. But the results have shown that the saturation is the same. It might be just a little bit faster and more efficient if you do it with carbohydrates. If you're loading on creatine, take your serve of creatine around meal times, because that's going to give you an insulin spike.
Yep, there you go.
So that's it. Really, this is something that everyone should be using. If you're weight training, bodybuilding, powerlifting, doing any sort of explosive sport, any sport now, you should be using creatine.
Definitely, most definitely.
And it's cheap. It's a cheap supplement.
Very.
So guys and girls, get onto it.
Definitely.
All right, what's next, Adrian?
Okay, so Kimmo, we've been talking, if you've been watching our videos the last few weeks, we've both been discussing how our injuries and injury maintenance, and for those few weeks, we've both changed something in our supplement regime, and we've both felt the benefits of it.
Well, in a nutshell, I've had 2 buggered shoulders pretty well for the last 3 months, which has really hampered my training.
Yes.
It has really affected my training to the point where I've had to move around and really focus on certain exercises just so that I can still continue to train.
Yeah.
But what we have been using now for the last 10 to 14 days is a collagen protein.
Collagen protein. Now, as people probably know, I've seen in the last videos, that collagen is the most abundant protein in the human body. I actually have a whole write-up here of everything to do with collagen. Now, if I go into this one, it is a structure protein. So it actually contains 30% of your whole body protein of your whole body is collagen. The whole body protein is collagen. 10% of skeletal mass is made up of collagen in the form of connective tissue. 30% of muscle power is generated by this connective tissue, and 25% of the cell nuclei in muscle cells originate from connective tissue fibroblasts. So, Our injuries have definitely been connective tissue.
They've been tendon injuries.
Yes.
I've been diagnosed with a bicep tendon on this side and a developing bursa, which is a form of tendonitis on this side.
Yes.
Yep.
So, my whole premise of trying to use this into my diet was because of comp prep. I was getting depleted, I was feeling injuries a lot more. I said, hey, I want to try using this to see if all these studies are true and they're not just based on anecdotal evidence. I have changed from my whey protein isolate to the collagen protein, the ATP no whey, the last 3 weeks, and I have made leaps and bounds. My shoulders don't hurt. I had a developing tendonitis in the hip and in the foot. In 3 weeks, those pains have become only minor niggles to nil pain at all. Now,
I've experienced the same. I've been on it for about a week, and I've noticed a noticeable difference in my shoulders. And the improvement to the point where I was able to train shoulders for the first time in, I don't know, 3 months, virtually pain-free.
It was great. It's amazing. So, based on our own perceived results, this shit works. Collagen works. It works well.
Well, I'm looking at the graphic that you've got here, and it says that 85% of collagen is in tendons.
70% in ligaments. 70% in cartilage tissue, 6% of weight and muscle, and 20% of total bone mass.
They're all the parts, the tendons, the ligaments, and what was the other one?
The other one is just muscle.
The cartilage. They're the ones that cause all the injury. And cause all the problems in joint injuries.
And they also control 30% of muscular power output. So, hey, stronger connective tissue, stronger muscle, more strength. Now, the best thing about this is the body balance peptides. Now, they have had extensive studies compared to whey and compared to placebo. So, in studies, we have shown that there's 3 times more muscle growth than compared to whey, 2.5 times more fat loss than whey, and 3.75 times more power than whey. And this is based off of double-blind studies using untrained individuals, trained young athletes, and people who had sarcopenia. So that's all based on actual anecdotal evidence, which is all available on PubMed if you look up, collagen protein, collagen peptides. So I'm going to go through some of the studies right now and with the graphs to show them. So, in the first one, we have an increase in fat-free mass in 12 weeks. So if we hold this up here, so that's a graph. These are all available on the ATP website, by the way, so I can grab these from there. Very interesting, they have all their studies. So in regards to whey, you have, in a middle-aged, untrained individual, you have a 27% increase in fat-free mass compared to placebo for whey, but an 83% increase in fat-free mass compared to placebo using the Body Balance whey peptides. In the elderly and untrained, there is a 50% increase compared to placebo, and in a young trained individual, there is a 300% increase in fat-free mass from placebo to the Body Balance peptides. So that's increase in fat-free mass, aka lean body mass, aka muscle. So that's one great little study there. Okay, in a comparison to whey, a decrease in fat mass. Comparison to placebo, whey had a 27% increase, so aka 27% in fat loss, while Body Balance whey peptides, the collagen, had an 83% increase compared to placebo. So that is 3 times more of a decrease in fat mass compared to whey. So if you're trying to lose weight, you can actually use collagen peptides to help you burn through fat. This is via AMP-K. AMP-K is a protein signaling that helps control metabolism, which is very, I've done a lot more research on this today, and it's sort of blown my mind of how beneficial it is at the low dosage. There has also been a comparison to placebo. Body Balance is infinitely better than whey for waist circumference, but this was due to people's bloating with whey. That could really blow that out, but there was more of an increase using Body Balance there. And moving on, an increase in muscle power. This is due to the connective tissue. So in comparison to placebo, there was a 20% increase in muscle power using whey, but a 75% increase using Body Balance.
So the benefits are all round in just muscle building as well. But for me, like I said, I only started using it purely for the connective tissue recovery, which seems to be working a treat. I'm still taking whey protein as well,
of course,
and I'm just mixing the two together. Sometimes I'll have the Body Balance, the the No Whey on its own.
Yep.
And then I'll have a whey protein on its own as well. I think the benefits of both are there. I still think whey is still such a good protein because of its perfect amino acid ratios and
100%,
balance.
I agree.
But if you do suffer from bloating and digestive issues, allergic to milk products, well then the collagen peptides are a great substitute. But if you are suffering from tendonitis, even I would imagine the same thing would happen if you got tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, which is the tendonitis in the elbow. Really incorporate a collagen protein into your supplementation.
Like I've said to a few people today, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Just trying something different. And all you need to add is 15 grams, 1 scoop into your daily regime.
I'm actually taking 2. I'm taking 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And like I said, after about a week, I've noticed a massive difference. So I'm really looking forward to what happens in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. Funnily enough, is I discovered it because when I asked my partner, I'm like, have you seen me complain about my shoulders or anything? She goes like, no, I haven't heard you complain once about any pains at all in the last 3-4 weeks.
That's right.
Like, okay, that's interesting.
Yep.
So
definitely, all this information is available.
Yes, of course.
If you it's all on PubMed.
It's all on PubMed.
But there's also links on the ATP website, obviously.
So all their research.
And it's not ATP's research,
no,
it's independent research. So definitely look into incorporating creatine monohydrate. I think that is a must. And if you do have any joint issues or then you have digestion issues with whey protein, have a look at the collagen protein. It does mix totally different.
Yes.
It mixes a lot more water. It's more cordial-like. Basically. Very, very, very watery. It doesn't fill you up at all. You take a serve and within 5 minutes it's gone. So
it's unique in that way.
Exactly right. And the No Whey comes in about 3 or 4 different flavors as well. You know, but there are other companies that do collagen proteins as well. But this is the one that we recommend. All right, that's it. So that's it for supplement talk. I hope you got something out of it. I know we've talked about creatine before, but it is just so interesting with all the new research that's coming out, and they're backing up all the old research. So really, I really implore that this is a supplement that every athlete should be on.
Definitely.
Thanks guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Supplement Talk.
Bye-bye.